March 23rd meeting, Intergovernmental Relations, will now come to order. First, I'd like to welcome Legislator Gamina to our committee. Welcome. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Chairman Antelli.
Here.
Mr. Beebe. Here. Mr. Gamina. Here. Mr. Maniero. Here. Mrs. Valerio.
Here.
Is there anyone signed up for the public forum?
No, sir.
Is there anyone here that would like to address the committee that's not signed up? Next item on the agenda, approval minutes. You have the January 26, 2010 minutes before you. They will stand approved unless the clerk notifies us of any changes by the end of the day. Next item on the agenda, new business. Mr. Clerk.
Referral 10-0083.
Moved by Legislator Valerio, second by Legislator Gamina. Any discussion? Legislator Beebe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of follow-ups. I know we asked a few questions yesterday on public safety, and I was able to attend the presentation this morning over at 911 Center with the county executive with Tiburon introducing the CAD system that they want to implement there. Very impressive. But I do have a couple of questions I'd like to follow up with in regards to this referral. Through the chair, what responder agencies will be getting, will we have intermunicipal agreements with?
Through the chair, for the CAD piece is the first question. Is that what you're referring to, sir?
Yes.
Every agency that utilizes the 911 center, so every fire district, every EMS agency, every law enforcement jurisdiction will have a agreement with the 911 center.
And through the chair, that's basically what you currently have in place right now.
Yeah, through the chair, there is a subscriber agreement in existence with each of those agencies. That will be renewed, and it's renewed every few years anyway, but that will be renewed as part of this.
All right, thank you very much.
Yes, Legislator Monaro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair, I'd just like to know if we have an estimated timeline for completion of this project.
Through the chair, I'm going to have Barb Frasina, the Deputy Director of Information Services for the county, address that. We do have a timeline. Each phase is timed. It's about a 39-month overall timeline, but I'll let her go into some detail on that.
Thank you.
Through the chair, I don't have the exact work plan, but we will go live in January of 2014 for the police records. So it's about a 24-month project.
Just to follow up, he just said it's a 30-month, and she just said it was a 24-month project. So I'm a little confused by that.
Actually, through the chair, I just found the timeline. We actually, I think Steve was talking about the overall project with all the modules, but for the RMS part, which is the police records, I apologize. We do have that going live in December of 2012.
Thank you.
Legislator Gamina.
Through the chair, question for Ms. Farsina. Is the equipment that are we leasing this equipment, or are we buying this equipment?
Through the chair, we are buying the equipment and the software.
Okay. Through you, Mr. Chair, this is, I noticed in the last part of the referral, it talks about we're negotiating the price and the implementation costs for all the components over 10 years, and you can decrease, basically, I think you save $7 million, correct? In terms of Well, what's the lifespan, I guess, of the equipment that you're expecting?
Through the chair, on the hardware, it's usually between 5 and 6 years. For the software, it's going to be about 15 years.
Okay.
And the cost savings was based on the software maintenance.
Okay. And through you, Mr. Chair, so software lasting 15 years, I'm going back to, what we're sort of used to in the workplace. Much of our software many times is replaced within a 15-year time frame. Do you expect that again? I'm just worried about obsolescence, and I know we're saving $7 million, but are we going to have to come back to this again in a few years?
Yeah, through the chair, because of the police records, a customized program, we will have to do upgrades every 5 to 7 years, and there will be some capital expenditure there as well.
Okay. And through you, Mr. Chair, when you look at the hardware lifespan of 5 to 6 years, again, there's really no worry about obsolescence in that short a window, or the fact that you're replacing them in 5 to 6 years, it's basically because they become obsolete or they...
Through the chair, you're correct.
Okay.
They're out of... every 5 years, the hardware totally changes.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Legislator Monero.
Through the chair, do you have an estimate of how much in the future those software upgrades or maintenance is going to cost, or is that already included in or what's already budgeted?
Through the chair, for the other modules that we bought with Tiburon, it's included in the maintenance. For police records, because it's customized, we will have to pay for that, and I would not be able to give you an estimate at this time.
Mr. Chair, I'd just also like to know if that's forthcoming, if at any point there will be a estimate of the cost of doing that in the future, in the near future.
Through the chair, I don't know if I could do it in the near future. When we go to scope and plan, probably a year or two before, we will have an idea.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? Carried. Next item.
Referral 10-0085, authorization to advertise for bids, authorize intermunicipal.
Moved by Mr. Gamina, second by Legislator Valerio. Any discussion? No discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? Carried.
Referral 10-0086,
Moved by Legislator Valerio, second by Legislator Gamina. Any discussion? Legislator Beebe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of questions I have. Through the chair, what's the average number of inmates from the outside counties that are in custody here?
Through the chair, I can obtain the actual number from the sheriff's office and provide it to the committee. I do know that it ranges anywhere from no inmates at any particular given time up to maybe 3 or 4, but I don't want to say specifically, but I can provide you with the numbers from last year.
Yeah, I believe that's what the average was, what was mentioned last year. Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Legislator Gamina.
Through you, Mr. Chair, how is the rate of 140 per day determined?
Through the chair, it is an increase from years gone by. We based our per day of 140 on Oneida County, which is also charging 140 a day because they have a psychiatric center in their county and perform comparable services for counties outside of their county as we are. So this was in line with what other counties in the state are charging.
Through you, Mr. Chair, so has there ever been a cost basis or a cost analysis so that, I guess what I'm worried about is, we're charging 140, but maybe it costs us 150 to actually house an inmate, and we're losing money.
Through the chair, I don't believe we're losing money. We are normally the vast majority of inmates at the psychiatric center at any given time are Monroe County inmates. We are required by law to provide security there at any given time and would be there anyway.
Okay. Through you, Mr. Chair, how many counties have contracted for services, do you think, in the last fiscal year?
Through the chair, 35 counties have contracted with Monroe County for us to provide services relative to their inmates being housed in the psychiatric center.
Wow. It's a lot of counties. I mean, that's more than half the counties in the state.
Yes.
Legislator Valera?
How would you explain this concept of a forensic unit at the psychiatric center?
Through the chair, when defendants are in criminal court, judges will oftentimes deem them to be not capable of assisting in their own defense because of mental issues, and judges will then sign a commitment order that the individual defendant needs to go to the psychiatric center in lieu of going to jail or prison in the state system, but locally to the jail. So that's generally how inmates end up at the psychiatric center. It's by order of a court.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? Carried.
Referral 10-0087.
Moved by Mr. Camino, second by Mrs. Valerio. Discussion. Legislator Valerio.
What are these photographs typically used for, and why traditional film as opposed to digital?
Through the chair, we only use traditional film now if it's a case going back to before the sheriff's office went completely digital, which was approximately 3 years ago. However, we will very frequently have crimes that are solved now that were committed prior to that. So that's one case where we have to go with traditional film as opposed to digital. Additionally, we frequently will have requests from the district attorney's office for pictures to be blown up in a manner that we're not capable of doing so that they can be used for court for ease of presentation to the jury. So those are basically the two instances where we end up using the RPD Photo Lab.
Legislator Camino.
Through you, Mr. Chair, what was the total cost of services from last fiscal year?
The last fiscal year, actually, it decreases every year as the number of digital cases goes up and up. Last year, it was $2,505.45.
Legislator Monero.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, Mr. Chair, I just to clarify, this is kind of like for cold cases, essentially. I mean, to put it in kind of a colloquial way, but is that what I'm understanding?
Through the chair, it is for cases which were investigated prior to the time that the sheriff's office went digital, which are then solved presently. So yes, cold cases would definitely fall into that category.
I'd just like to applaud the efforts by the administration in working with the city on this issue. We don't do it enough. We could probably do it a lot more, and I'm sure moving forward, I just want to say that you folks are doing a good job on it.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? Carried. Are there any matters to come before this committee? If not, there are no further business. On March 23rd, 2010 meeting, Intergovernmental Relations Committee stands adjourned. Next meeting of the Governmental Relations Committee is scheduled for Tuesday, April 27, 2010.